Hello, Lighteners. Today we're going to be talking about the everywhere at the end of time iceberg. You probably just want me to shut up and get to the video. So why not? Because I have no damn news anyway. Everywhere at the end of time is about dementia. If you didn't notice, everywhere at the end of time is about dementia. This is probably pretty obvious, but if you didn't know, this should be your explanation. The caretaker is James Leland Kirby. The caretaker is James Leland Kirby. This entry is self-explanatory. The last 6 minutes represent death or terminal lucidity. I want you to take a shot anytime I say, didn't you know? If you didn't know, the last 6 minutes of everywhere at the end of time represent death or terminal lucidity. This is widely accepted as fact. Everywhere at the End of Time was created using samples from 1920s or 30s ballroom music. You can probably tell how the music sounds that this samples 1920s ballroom music. Usage of Heartaches and Goodnight My Beautiful throughout the album. Heartaches on first hand is used with multiple versions like Cedric Ellis's, Al Bully's, and Guy Labrana's. But Goodnight My Beautiful is one song used throughout the album, like Back There Benjamin, Libet Soldier of Full Camaraderie, and Libet Delay. That's pretty much all I got. Ivan Seal. This is the person that created the paintings for a lot of the Caretaker albums, like Patience After Subbald, Persistent Repetition, and others, including Everywhere at the End of Time. It's really good, and I would recommend you check it out sometime. Hell Sirens. Hell Sirens is a segment in Stage 4. This is probably the most disturbing segment because it's a slowed down reverb version of Granada. This is guaranteed to freak you out, and it freaked me out as well. I obviously will not be playing this because I don't want to make my viewers uncomfortable, and I recommend you listen to the album. Stage 5 Clarity Moments. Stage 5 has many clarity moments, like the mandolin solo and Was It a Dream? We will get to this later on in the iceberg, but this should be your explanation for it, so when we get to it later, you know what I'm talking about. An Empty Bliss Beyond This World. An Empty Bliss Beyond This World is an album by the Caretaker that was before Everywhere at the End of Time, and if it wasn't for this album, we would not have Everywhere at the End of Time. Stage 4 to 6 are the post-awareness stages. If you didn't know already, you could probably tell by the track titles, but stages 4 to 6 are the post-awareness stages. The difference are the tracks are individually longer and the stages are double the length, and they are in the pre-awareness stages. Nowhere at the Millennium of Space, or Natmos. Natmos is an album by the Caretakers, which is a group of people started all by Jordan Curry. The album uses old 1970s to 1980s music, and it's a pretty good listen, and I'd recommend you listen to it. The music is pretty good. Everywhere in the Beginning of Nowhere. Everywhere in the Beginning of Nowhere is an album made by the Care Bear or Max Miller. This album uses the same premise as Everywhere at the End of Time, but it's 7 stages and 9 hours long. The ending is very worth it, and I'd recommend you check out more of the Care Bros work sometime. Each stage of Everywhere at the End of Time was released 6 months apart. This entry is very self-explanatory, and Everywhere at the End of Time was released 6 months apart. These did you know Everywhere at the End of Time facts are getting really redundant right now. Everywhere and Empty Bliss. Everywhere and Empty Bliss is Everywhere at the End of Time's outtakes. Some of these tracks are really depressing, like And Bliss, Everywhere Bliss, and Minimal All You Are. Glitzolder. Glitzolder is the Stage 4 album cover. It is mostly known for its human-like appearance, being the most disturbing art in the album and triggering the uncanny valley due to it having a vaguely human shape, though you know this is probably not a human, but it might be. The stages present in Everywhere at the End of Time are actually stages 2 to 7 of dementia. If there was a stage 1 it would be just pretty redundant. It'd just be regular samples. So that's why it's stages 2 to 7 instead of 1 to 7. Some samples are from past Caretaker albums. Some samples, like All That Follows Is True and Back There Benjamin, are from past Caretaker albums. Like All That Follows Is True is from Logo Riding on a Rainbow. Everywhere at the End of Time with Voices. Everywhere at the End of Time with Voices is an album by Dante Timberwolf which uses the original samples but the voices. James Leland Kirby inspired by The Shining. This is very self-explanatory because, yeah, James Leland Kirby was inspired by The Shining for his first 3 albums. Jordan Curing. I explained this before, and all I gotta say is, Jordan Curing is Jordan Curing. Owl Bully. Owl Bully is the person that made Heartaches, and his music is really good, and sadly he passed away due to a bomb dropping on his house. Repeated track names in stage 4 and 5. You can probably tell this more in stage 4 and 5 with post-awareness confusions and advanced plaque entanglements repeating throughout the album. Selected Memories from the Haunted Ballroom. Selected Memories from the Haunted Ballroom is the first Caretaker album. Mr. Mister is a sample finder for Everywhere at the End of Time, which find a lot of samples and did a lot of work compiling the samples for post-awareness. VVM and The Stranger. VVM and The Stranger are other Caretaker aliases that were used. VVM is just music that Leland Kirby wanted to make, and The Stranger is exploring old abandoned buildings in London. Take Care is a desert out there. This album deserves maximum respect. It is dedicated to the passing away of Mark Fisher. Vocal samples used before R1 and Everywhere at the Time. This could either be talking about in stage 5, those small bits of vocals that you hear, or in stage 1 with some vocal blips from Wedding at the Paper Doll. I'm sorry that I paused a bit. My second time recording this, and I really don't want to record this again. Stage 5 Clarity Moment samples Was It a Dream? Stage 5, the first Clarity Moment samples Was It a Dream? This is self-explanatory. We Drink to Forget the Coming Storm. This is an album by James Leland Kirby. Yes, James Leland Kirby, not the Caretaker. This album is on the house. Guildford Cathedral Choir. This is widely accepted as the choir that performed O Jesus Christ or Friends Past Reunited. This is widely accepted, but we don't know if it's true or not. Final track of Everywhere in Empty Bliss might be an alternate ending of stage 6. The last track in Everywhere in Empty Bliss, or And Bliss Evermore Bliss, might have been the final track to Everywhere at the End of Time. I support this theory because there is many similarities to the end of Everywhere at the End of Time. PM, Why the Bees Are Silent. PM, Why the Bees Are Silent is a CD release of Everywhere in Empty Bliss. And I don't know about you, but I find the name extremely hilarious. 2 hidden figures hidden in a Stage 2 album cover. In Stage 2, apparently you can see 2 people. I see them, and I saw them on like my 3rd listen, and you can see them the zoomed in part of Stage 2 right here. Hell Sirens PTSD theory. There's a theory that's widely accepted as fact that the Hell Sirens in Stage 4 are PTSD memories or post-traumatic stress disorder syndrome. Wax cylinder samples. Wax home recordings were used in Caretaker albums. The most notable example is Glimpses of Life the Now with father and daughter Santa Claus in Holland. Resampling of Hell Sirens in Stage 5 and 6. In Stage 5 or 6, you can vaguely hear Hell Siren segments, sometimes in Stage 5 and 6. This entry is very self-explanatory, so don't call me out for being stupid. I1 Temporary Bliss State is the last track of only one sample. Temporary Bliss State is the last track in Everywhere at the End of Time to use one sample. That sample is the prettiest little song of all. If you ask me, it should be called the creepiest little song of all. William Loynes and Stage 7 Project. William Loynes has created multiple fan projects, including the Everywhere at the End of Time Stage 7, Heaven, Hell, Purgatory, combined and unused tracks. My personal favorite album is Selected Memories from the Caretaker, but your favorite album from him is basically preference. Video by Solar Sands. Can you name one object in this photo introducing people to Everywhere at any time? That was a mouthful. Can you name one image in this photo? It's a video by Solar Sands that talks about the Caretaker. If you watched the video, you know how he talked about it, the music, and other stuff about the album, and compared it to this image. Theoretically Pure Interrogated Amnesia. Theoretically Pure Interrogated Amnesia is an album by the Caretaker that explains interrogated amnesia. That means you cannot form new memories. And now, the more you know. Music by the Caretaker before 1999. This could be either talking about The Death of Rave, a Caretaker album that was not by the Caretaker but by the VM Test, or The Stranger. It could be either one, but this entry doesn't explain a lot. Other Caretaker albums. We have talked about other Caretaker albums throughout this iceberg, and I feel like this doesn't really need that much explaining anymore, because we already talked about many of the Caretaker albums that were already, but Patience After Sabal needs a lot more love. Natmos is a collaborative project. If you didn't know, Natmos was a collaborative project. That's why it is the Caretakers instead of Jordan Turing. Thank you for all of the people that created it. Girl of Pearl Ealing may have inspired Quicksilver. Just look at this very scientific diagram, and you might see, just look at this. It's obvious that they are at least similar. Altered version that everyone in the Bliss uses at Ivan Seal Expedition. This is talking about why the bees are very silent, used as music for the Ivan Seal Art Expedition. There are only 50 existing copies of the Stage 6 ending sample record. There's only 50 copies of the ending record for Everywhere at the End of Time. This is the golden sample that people have been looking for. Green Ninja 222. This is the only entry in this entire iceberg that I have no information on, so if you have any information, leave it down in the comments below. Debate over which audio is the last coherent memory. This is actually self-explanatory. I just don't want to add fire instead of flames with my own explanation or bias. This section will be a mandolin solo from Mr. James Fitzgerald. The mandolin solo is a clarity state in Stage 5, right near the middle. Re-uploads of Everywhere at the End of Time receiving copyright claims. The link leads to a Japanese music video, which is just random noises. Now what the fuck does this have to do with Everywhere at the End of Time? I have no goddamn clue. Unknown samples in Stages 1 to 3, outdated entry. I am going to be skipping this because all the samples in Stages 1 to 3 of Everywhere at the End of Time have been found, so this makes this entry null and void. Theories about everywhere at the end of time samples recording in nursing homes. Listen, this is just straight up not true. Nor has it ever been, nor will it be. I just want to state this, just so people know, no everywhere at the end of time samples were not recorded in nursing homes. The caretaker always capitalizes off the word world. This entry does have a point because the caretaker, intentionally or not, does use world in a lot of his albums, like An Empty Bliss Beyond This World, or Everywhere in Empty Bliss, having tracks with world in it. Tonight Seems All Blue and Dark. Tonight Seems All Blue and Dark is a caretaker performance that uses Sesba as a sample. Unused caretaker tracks. When this entry talks about unused caretaker tracks, it's probably just talking about the beta caretaker tracks or the caretaker tracks that were in Everywhere in Empty Bliss. Weirdcore TV Stage 1 and 2 music videos. Weirdcore TV produced music videos for Everywhere at the End of Time Stage 1 and 2, but the reason why these were stopped because there was very big crucial mistakes in the Stage 2 music video. The Forgotten Orchestra / The Broken Symphony. The Forgotten Orchestra is a collaborative project which is made by the Care Bear. This is probably the same for the Broken Symphony. Stage 6 sped up reveals much clearer samples. If you speed up the tracks in Stage 6, you actually get samples that are more coherent than the earlier post-awareness stages, even though this is supposed to be the most bad of them all. Faces on a Wall. Faces on a Wall is an enigmatic caretaker fan project that doesn't have much known about it, except it's about depression. Everywhere But the Center of Your Mind. Everywhere But the Center of Your Mind is a project about depression. It deals with some very heavy topics. Natmos with Voices. Natmos with Voices is just Natmos with Voices. I don't know why it's at the bottom. Theories about the Stage 3 art hiding a secret. I don't know how true this is, but if you can see something in the Stage 3 image, just let me know in the comments down below. Theories about the organ preceding the last 6 minutes of R1. There is an organ segment throughout R1, and it is done beautifully. There is theories that this opens up to O Jesus Christ. Everywhere at the End of Time reversed with tracks in order. Everywhere at the End of Time, but it's drifting inside black hole. There is no reason that this should be this deep down in the iceberg. Wow, you made it this far. I just want to say thank you for getting to the end of this. I applaud you. I think right now I have definitely earned a subscription, but thank you for watching. Peace.